finance bill.
Money bill, sir.
Money bill. So a bill for the reorganization of new state or alteration of state boundaries can only be introduced in either house of parliament after president's recommendation. It is there in article 3. Remember this thing, this can be asked. Then if any state bill, so say for example, you know that state is also involved in trade and commerce, right? From article 300 to article 307, so you can read about trade and commerce if you want to. Then the state bills, when I'm saying state bills, then it means that state government's bills for imposing restriction on freedom of trade and commerce. If any state bill that is imposing restriction on freedom of trade and commerce, it require his recommendation. It is there in article 300 and clause, sorry, 304. Now one more thing, that president has the power to nominate 12 members of the Raj Sabha. He has the power to nominate 12 members from the Raj Sabha. And what is the criteria to nominate these members, if you know? Anyone?
So,
Yes.
he or she should be a distinguished person in fields like literature, social science, art, and so on.
Yes. So if any person who is having a special knowledge or practical experience in respect of art, arts, science, literature, and social services, then he can also be nominated. Now, I have a question for you. Can a foreigner be nominated to the Raj Sabha if he is having a special knowledge in science? Who wants to answer it? Maybe let me ask. Pius, do you want to answer it?
No, sir. He should be a citizen.
Yes, exactly. Remember. So whether it's a nominated citizen or any kind, sorry, nominated member or any kind of member, always remember that in order to become member of parliament, it means that Raj Sabha member or Lok Sabha member, you should be citizen of India. This is the first and foremost requirement. Second thing, when parliament is not in session, he may promulgate ordinance. Ordinance we'll discuss in detail in some time, or let's talk about ordinance right now only, then we'll come back to some other powers because this is important. Under article 123, the president of India has the power, and under article 213, the governor of a state has the power. So what you have to do, you just have to interchange 1 and 2 for in order to remember these articles. So 1 2 you can interchange, 3 would be at its position. This is the power of president, this is the power of governor. Now I have a question for you. Okay, let's discuss first, then I'll ask question. So this is the most important legislative power of the president in his ordinance making power. Remember this thing. Second thing, if I say that ordinance, sorry, the executive has the legislative power, then this statement is correct or incorrect? Again, I'll repeat that the executive has the legislative power. This statement is correct or incorrect? I'll start with Amit. Amit, correct, incorrect?
Yes, sir, have certain powers.
What are those powers?
In executive regarding means president
Executive,
or
executive means union executive. Obviously, we have discussed union executive.
sir, they have legislative power like this ordinance itself.
So you are calling ordinance as a legislative power. So what's your statement? Correct or incorrect?
Correct.
Aksa, correct, incorrect?
सर एक्सट्रीम कंडीशंस में अलाउ किया है
नहीं, मैं आपसे
जब इमरजेंसी
मैं
होती है.
कुछ नहीं पूछ रहा हूँ, मैं आपसे करेक्ट इनकरेक्ट पूछ रहा हूँ कि द स्टेटमेंट इज द एग्जीक्यूटिव हैज़ द legislative power. This statement is correct or incorrect?
करेक्ट है सर.
Okay, Ekta,
करेक्ट सर.
Kunal,
Sir, correct.
Manveen,
करेक्ट सर.
Monica.
राइट सर.
कोई इनकरेक्ट वाला है तो वो बताया मुझे. ठीक है, करेक्ट है, इस चीज़ को याद रखना. अब अगर यूपीएससी घुमा फिरा के पूछ ले, याद रखना कि द प्रेसिडेंट इज द पार्ट ऑफ द एग्जीक्यूटिव एंड द एग्जीक्यूटिव हैज़ द लेजिस्लेटिव पावर. Second thing, if any time when both the house, what I'm saying, both the house of parliament are not in session and the president is satisfied that circumstances exist and for him it is very important to take an immediate action, and he may issue ordinance as the circumstances appear to him to require. Now, I have one more question, that let's suppose that one house is in session and other house is not. Can president still come up with the ordinance? In this condition, can president issue ordinance?
यस सर.
But it is saying that one house is in the session. So why how? Tell me.
सर सर लाइक कोई भी एक्ट लॉ बनने के.
एक कोई भी बोल दो.
Sir, it needs to be passed by both the houses, and if one house is not in session, in that case, president has the power to prorogue the.
Yes. So Aksa was also telling that if any bill has to become law, then there should be two houses in the session. One house cannot make the law alone. And if one house is in the session and the other one is not in the session, then the president can issue the ordinance. All right. And this ordinance must be led before both House of Parliament within 6 months. I mean, you all know these things. And if in 6 months they do not let down before the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, and it is not passed by the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, it will cease to exist. And the moment it comes in the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, then it has the life of 6 weeks. Within 6 weeks, it should be passed by both of the house. Now, do you think that can, one more question for you, can president withdraw the ordinance?
Sir, can you explain the 6 weeks point again?
6 weeks, let's say that आज डेट क्या है? 20 सितंबर। आज कोई बिल इंट्रोड्यूस कर दिया तो 6 वीक में इसको पास कर देना चाहिए पार्लियामेंट को।
Okay, sir.
ठीक है। दिस इज द क्वेश्चन, कैन प्रेसिडेंट विड्रॉ द ऑर्डिनेंस? हु शुड आई स्टार्ट विद? अमित?
Yes, sir.
पक्का? Yes, president can withdraw the ordinance anytime whenever he wants to. One more question for you. Can you equate an ordinance with the law passed by the parliament? Can we?
Yes, sir.
Yes. These small things, please remember. It cannot be treated as executive action or an administrative decision. Please remember this thing. The ordinance making power has been vested in the president to deal with unforeseen, if there are unforeseen or urgent matters. The ordinance making power is exercised by the president on his own satisfaction. One more thing, the court cannot inquire into the reason of subjective satisfaction of the president. The existence for promulgating the ordinance is not justiciable, and the validity of ordinance cannot be tested on ground similar to those on which an executive action can be tested. So, say for example, if you say that this is invalid or this has been not followed the procedure or something like this, there are a lot many things on executive action. Uh, you can challenge them, but ordinance cannot be challenged on those ground. One more thing I want to ask: can President of India legislate on concurrent list? Sorry, can President of India bring ordinance on a matter or on a topic that is enlisted in concurrent list, or that is there in the concurrent list? Can he bring ordinance on such subject matter?
I guess yes, sir.
Who is also who else is saying
Yes,
yes?
sir. Yes, sir.
Everyone is saying yes. Oh, very good. The answer is yes. Can he legislate through ordinance on the state list also?
No, sir.
Why can't he do this? It's simple that Parliament does not have jurisdiction to legislate in the state list except in few matters, and in normal circumstances he can also not do the same. So remember this thing, that ordinance can be issued only when both the House of Parliament are not in session, and it follows from this that an ordinance can be issued when only one house is in session, because a law cannot be passed by one house alone. And it is to be noted that satisfaction of the president is the personal satisfaction of the president. This statement is correct or incorrect? Tell me. Again, I'll write the satisfaction of the president is personal satisfaction. This statement is correct or incorrect? The satisfaction of the president is personal
Incorrect,
satisfaction. Okay, you are saying incorrect.
correct, sir.
Amit, what do you?
Correct.
Correct. Amit is saying correct. Good, Amit. Aksa,
Correct.
Aksa, what?
Correct, sir.
You are saying Aksa correct. Very good. Ekta, what are you saying?
It's correct, sir.
Kunal,
Sir, incorrect.
Kunal, what are you saying, Kunal? Manmeen,
Sir, correct, sir.
Monica.
Sir, I said incorrect.
You said incorrect.
Yeah.
Do you want to change your position?
Yeah. Sir?
Do you want to change your position?
No, I initially I said incorrect, yeah.
So you're still with incorrect, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Oh, okay. Monica, another Monica. Piyush,
Incorrect, sir.
Pratyusha,
Correct, sir.
Ratnpriya,
So correct.
Rohit,
Sir, incorrect.
Sangeeta,
Sir, incorrect.
Sahanur,
Sir, correct, sir.
Shraddha, Surbhi, Sweta, Beneath,
Incorrect.
Sir, correct. Sir,
अच्छा
correct.
कौन कह रहा
Because
है
it is not justiciable, I think.
ये स्टेटमेंट है इनकरेक्ट. ठीक है, जिन्होंने करेक्ट बोला आप लोगों ने 2.66 मार्क्स खो दिए. दिस इज नॉट द पर्सनल सेटिस्फैक्शन, दिस इज द सेटिस्फैक्शन ऑफ द काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर. यस रोहित.
Sir, I wanted to ask a question regarding the ordinance, sir. Sir, in case of, sir, those extraordinary circumstances which allows which allows Parliament to legislate on state subject, sir, can President issue ordinance under such? For example, if a state has previously requested Parliament to legislate, two states have previously requested to Parliament to legislate on state list, and after that the house is not in session, can president in that state and in emergency?
See, that there are two ifs, and there are two ifs, then there are two different things. Remember this. If now listen my if they request to president, then he can. But why would they?
No, but article 252 allows them to, no?
Allows them, I'm saying, okay, they can request to Rajya Sabha and then thereafter it can be done. I'm not denying that fact, but I'm saying if they request to president, then president can assume that power and president can do the same. And it has happened not one time, sometime it had happened in Bihar also.
Yeah, that's why I was asking whether he can do it or
There
not.
is this one case also, very famous case, DC Badwa versus I think state of Bihar case, and it was on the misuse of ordinance
Yeah.
only, right? We'll discuss those things. Let's discuss.
That was
Yes,
I
Rohit.
was saying that was because they substituted the legislative power. They didn't have the numbers, so they uh,
Yes,
called out the session, and then
and their court said that it's the subversion of democratic process and it's a culpable
yeah,
exercise
yeah.
of power. That's what the court said in DC Badwa versus Union of India. We'll come on that, but let's
No, I
talk.
was asking, I was asking about ordinance. Ki whether, for example, let's say Rajya Sabha has previously allowed Parliament to pass law on any stately subject. So, can in that case,
No, in
if the
that
House
case,
is not in session,
in that case, obviously it won't happen. But see, uh, it's simple for the government if they are requesting to parliament, and if central government wants to do it, then obviously they can call it. They can ask the president because it's not president; it's the central government who does this, and they don't have problem also with the same thing. If the central government does not have the problem with the same, obviously they can do this on the same proposal. Also, they can do it. But see, these are very small nitty gritty that whether they have to request central government or whether they have to request in parliament. Let's say that parliament is not there and parliament has been lapsed. Okay, and the moment parliament has been lapsed, so that proposal has gone. Then again, they'll have to make the fresh request to the president of India.
I was just asking it for conceptual clarity, nothing to be as in ki practically if this is possible or not, but if this can be possible or
This, to my best knowledge, they'll have to make the request to the president. On that hypothesis, I cannot comment. I mean, if I'm not clear about that position, then I won't comment. It's a very simple thing. But one thing I know that
Right.
if they have to request, then they'll have to request to the president of India if exceptional circumstances exist. It's that. All right. So ordinance, we will talking about ordinance that it is not the satisfaction of the personal satisfaction of the president, but it is the satisfaction of the cabinet on whose advice the president exercise his ordinance making power. The ordinance making power of president is coextensive. You can note down this term. It's a coextensive with the legislative power of the parliament. That is to say that it may be related to any subject in respect of which parliament has power to legislate. Again, I'll repeat, it means those subject in which parliament has the power to legislate, and therefore an ordinance will be void insofar it makes any provision which under the constitution the parliament is not competent to make. And an ordinance cannot violate fundamental right. Remember this thing. You cannot simply say that the parliament this law is not made this law is not made by the parliament and therefore it can violate the fundamental right. It cannot do. One more thing I want to tell you, that this satisfaction cannot be challenged, but if the ordinance is vague, arbitrary, unreasonable, and it is not in the public interest, then it can be challenged in the court. So you need to remember this particular fact. Now we'll talk about pardoning power of the president.
can you repeat that last point?
What did I say in the last?
About this
Okay. I'll
can
tell
be
you.
challenged in
Yes,
the
yes,
court.
yes. So, vagueness, arbitrariness, and if it is unreasonable, if it is not in public interest, then on these grounds it can be challenged. All right. Now we'll talk about pardoning power. If I say that the executive has judicial power, then this statement is correct or incorrect? Rohit, is starting with you.
Sorry, sir, I didn't hear that. Can you repeat?
I'm saying that executive has judicial power. This statement is correct or incorrect?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Right. Anyone else who is with Rohit on this point?
Yes, sir, it's correct.
It's correct. Any example?
Sir, pardoning powers
Yes,
of
pardoning power.
governor and president.
Under Article 72, President has the power to grant pardon, reprieve, respites, remission of punishment, or to suspend or remit, commute the sentence of any person convicted of any offense. First one, it does it cover court martial?
No, sir.
You're saying it is not covered. Court martial is not covered.
So I guess it is covered.
Okay, so let's start with Amit. Amit, what do you say? Court martial is covered or not?
Not covered.
Okay. Aksa?
Sir, in case of president, court martials are covered, not in case of governor.
Okay. Ekta?
Yes, sir, it is covered.
Kunal?
यस सर प्रेसिडेंट के रेस्पेक्ट में है.
ठीक है, तो जो लोग इनकरेक्ट बोल रहे हैं वो गलत बोल रहे हैं. प्रेसिडेंट कोर्ट मार्शल को भी पार्डन कर सकता है. ठीक है. Second, an offense against any law that is related to a matter to which the executive power of the union extend. Third thing, in all cases in which the sentence is one of death, in death sentence. So these are the things where the president has the power to grant pardon, reprieves, respites, remission, remit or commute the sentence. What is the object of conferring this judicial power on the president? The objective is to correct possible judicial error. And for no, we know that for no human system of judicial administration can be free from imperfection, and even there can be some sort of shortcomings. So to get done away from all those shortcomings, this power has given to the president. Now we'll talk about one by one what is the meaning of these terms. Pardon. Pardon means absolve absolve the sentence of a convict. Now I want to ask one question here. Let's say you know that let's suppose that a person who has been convicted for 6 years, or let's say 2 years or 3 years, more than 2 years, he cannot become member of parliament. That you know or not? Please tell me, everyone. If a person who has been convicted for 2 years, 2 or more, can he become member of parliament? Can he contest the election of parliament or not? Tell me.
Sir, your voice is not clear. Please, can you repeat?
My point is, if a person who has been convicted for 2 years or more, can he contest the election or not?
No, sir.
He cannot.
No, sir.
He cannot contest the election. Now listen
Sir,
carefully.
there's a law for after 6 years they can.
For 6 year only we are talking. We are not going into too deep. Just simple question. Immediately they cannot contest the election. All right. Now my question starts now. The question is, it means that he has been disqualified. Are you understanding the point? It means he has been disqualified. And once you have been disqualified, then you cannot contest the election. Now let's suppose Supreme Court also says that for 2 years you have got the punishment, or maybe 3 years you have got the punishment. Then you go to the president and you seek the pardon. Now my point is, if president grants you the pardon, then can this disqualification will this disqualification be there, or it will be removed? This is my question. Should I repeat the question? I'll repeat again. Listen carefully. If the person who has been convicted for 3 years, if he gets the pardon from the president, then in this case will the disqualification be removed, or still it will be there? This is the question. So you have to answer disqualified or non-disqualified. Amit, what is your answer? Disqualified or not?
Disqualified.
Okay. Aksa, what is your
Disqualified.
answer?
Like, पता नहीं सर.
ठीक है, फिर भी गैस मार दो.
Disqualified.
ठीक है,
नहीं सर, पता नहीं, सच में आइडिया नहीं है कुछ.
चलो आपने क्वेश्चन को स्किप कर दिया. एकता, now what do you say?
So I guess he would still be disqualified.
Kunal?
Sir, I think not disqualified.
Manveen?
I think sir disqualified.
Monica and Monica?
Sir, not disqualified.
Piyush?
Not disqualified.
Pratyusha?
He'll not be disqualified, sir.
Okay. Ratan Priya?
Sir, not disqualified.
Rohit?
Sir, not disqualified.
Sangeeta?
Sir, not disqualified.
Shraddha, Surbhi, Sweta, Beneath.
Sir, not
Not
disqualified.
not disqualified.
अब जो नॉट डिस्क्वालीफाइड बोल रहे हैं वो क्यों नहीं होगा डिस्क्वालीफाइड? उसको तो प्रेसिडेंट ने पार्डन दी है, तो वो क्यों डिस्क्वालीफाइड नहीं रहेगा? सेंटेंस तो उसको 3 साल का मिला था, तो आप अपना रीज़न दो, गिव मी द रीज़न दोज हु आर सेइंग नॉट
Sir,
डिस्क्वालीफाइड.
pardon removes both sentence and conviction.
Sentence and conviction, so yes, that's the pardon, sentence and conviction. Now he won't go to the jail, he is not convicted, but what it has to do with the disqualification, that's my point. I mean,
Disqualification is based on sentence and conviction. For example, in Rahul Gandhi case, so his sentence was stayed, and thereafter his disqualification was revoked.
exactly, very good.
So,
See, yeah, very good, Rohit. This is the point. See, why did I ask this question and why did I give you this particular example of 2 years? Simple that the things going around you, you can understand these kind of thing. See, this is kind of question you expect from the UPSC. This is how they'll be asking some sort of question. When the sentence has been dismissed of sentence was dismissed by the Supreme Court, he gets his position. Right now he's in the parliament. Now he's no longer disqualified. Now Supreme Court will listen, or this thing will be decided by High Court or whosoever, wherever is the case. Now they'll decide it. But for now, his sentence has been removed or it has been stayed, and therefore he is not disqualified. Here, what happens in pardon? It brings you in a position as if you did not do anything. Listen carefully. In pardon, it will restore you in the position as if you did not do anything. Let's say that someone has killed someone, and president gives him president grants pardon. Then in this case, he'll be treated as if he did not kill anyone in the eye of law, at least. So remember this thing. This is a small thing that you need to remember. What I was telling about pardon. So pardon completely absolve the sentence of the offender and punishment and disqualification, and places him in the same position as I have told you, that as if he had never committed the offense. Now we'll talk about next term, commutation. Commutation means exchange of one thing for the another. What does it mean? That you will substitute one form of punishment for the another, and that is basically the punishment would be in the lighter character. So there are, let's say, RI, rigorous imprisonment, and simple imprisonment. So when any person gets the sentence, then that person, the court will say that he'll serve 6 month rigorous imprisonment, or the court will say 6 month simple imprisonment. That's what court will be telling you. Now here the punishment would be for 6 months only. It's just that the form of punishment would be changed from rigorous to simple. In rigorous, that you'll have to do some physical work, physical kind of activity. In simple, you are not required to do the same thing. So form is changing in commutation, but sentence is the same. Anybody, any doubt in this? Okay. Now, what is the next term? Remission. What is the meaning of remission? It means reduction of the amount of sentence without changing its character. Here, if you have got the rigorous imprisonment for 6 months, then your time will be decreased. So it can be 3 months. But the form of punishment would be same. It will be rigorous imprisonment only. This is the meaning of remission. What is the meaning of respite? It means awarding the lesser punishment on some special ground. For example, the pregnancy of a women offender, or maybe just because of old age. So these are the some criteria that can be considered, and lesser punishment. So originally the punishment has to be given for 6 months. The punishment can be given for maybe 2 months or 3 months. So this is the meaning of respite. Then what is the meaning of reprieve? It means temporary suspension of the sentence. Alright, so this is the meaning. Now I have a question for you. Can American president has the ordinance making power or not? This is the question. Yes or no, you can answer. Amit?
Don't know, sir.
Aksa?
Can you please repeat the question?
Question is, can American president issue the ordinance? Or
No, sir.
पक्का?
हाँ सर, नहीं करती है अमेरिकन प्रेसिडेंशियल। हाँ, नहीं करती है आई गेस करती है सर।
तो यस और नो आंसर क्या है आपका? आपने यस बोला है, ठीक है। अब कब से पूछूं मैं? विनीत आप बताओ। विनीत?
No, sir.
रत्न प्रिया?
Does not have due to strict.
Sir, I think no.
रोहित?
So they can.
मोनिका?
Sir, not 100% sure, but probably yes.
Who else wants to answer?
Sir, I was not sure, but America is presidential system of government. So
So you are saying that American president also has the legislative power. That's what you are saying, right? American, yes, tell me.
सर अमेरिकन प्रेसिडेंट के पास नहीं होती शायद, क्योंकि इसमें एग्जीक्यूटिव और लेजिस्लेटिव अलग अलग होते हैं ना, मतलब सेपरेशन होते हैं इनका।
Good.
और प्रेसिडेंट के पास
Amazing. President does not have power to bring the ordinance. Remember this thing. American president does not have this power. This power is unique to Indian president only. Yeah, they have complete separation power. That's very good, Kunal. This is what I wanted to hear. आप लोगों ने सोचा प्रेसिडेंट सिस्टम है अमेरिका में तो कर सकता है। अब इज एक्चुअली एग्जीक्यूटिव हेड एंड वहाँ इसका आपको पता है वन थिंग कि इफ़ दे हैव टू अमेंड द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन देन दे डोंट नीड प्रेसिडेंट। डू यू नो दिस और नॉट? In India, we need president. His sign is required. In America, it doesn't require. I mean, this question cannot be asked in prelims, but sometime they can ask the power between American president and Indian president. In mains, they can ask this kind of question. All right. So, one more question. See, what I do that I discuss some other constitution also, because this is the part of your syllabus also, so don't think that I am asking out of the syllabus. One more thing that I want to ask: can American president grant pardon? Can he does he has pardoning power? कोई भी आंसर कर दो, ओपन है, आप लोग बताओ।
यस सर।
अमेरिकन प्रेसिडेंट के पास पार्डन पावर है, ठीक है। एक केस है जिसमें वो नहीं कर सकता है, दैट इज द केस ऑफ इम्पीचमेंट। इन द केस ऑफ इम्पीचमेंट ही कैन नॉट ग्रांट द पार्डन, अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट ही कैन डू द सेम। सेकेंड थिंग, that this power is subject to judicial review. Remember this thing, the question can come that whether this power, so this power is not uncontrolled power of the president, it is a subject to the judicial review. Anyone, if you can give me an example, any instance when this was challenged, the pardon granted or maybe pardon, this mercy petition rejected by the president, can it be challenged in court of law? If president rejects some
Yes, sir.
mercy petition, can it be challenged in the court of law?
Yes, sir.
It can be challenged. Any instance, any example?
निर्भया केस सर,
हाँ, कई बार चैलेंज
they
किया।
they they challenge on the fact that the president has not applied his mind.
They even that their health report was not submitted, then one ground was that he was not guided by the jail superintendent, he was not recommended by the got the recommendation from the jail superintendent. They challenged a number of times for different people. So there are lot many cases also. Binay Sharma versus Union of India, Mukesh Kumar versus Union of India. Let's say that if there is a quick consideration of mercy petition, then rejection of mercy petition, then can you say that if the mercy petition has been considered quickly, then can you say that it is predetermined? Can you say this? You cannot say it. Alright. Now let's talk about emergency power. So anyone, if you have any issue with pardon power, just let me know. Then let's talk about emergency power. Yes, who is raising the hand? Sweta, yes, please tell me.
Sir, just one question. This pardoning power, it is written under the judicial power, also mentioned as the executive power. So we should consider it as a judicial power only.
You can consider it judicial as well as executive, both power you can consider, but more of it's a judicial in the nature. See, it depends on the author how he's seeing things through executive lens or judicial. So I'll say that consider it judicial power. Now let's talk about emergency provision. So first I want to tell you that emergency provision are there in the part 18 of the constitution, from article 352 to article 360 of the constitution. And there are three kinds of emergency. So president has these power, and there are three kinds of emergency. First one, emergency arising out of war, external aggression, or armed rebellion. These things we'll discuss in detail when we'll be doing article 352 and 360. I'm just giving you idea. Second, due to failure of constitutional machinery. Third thing, financial emergency. If president is satisfied, I'm talking in the context of first one, if president is satisfied the security of India is threatened by foreign attack, armed rebellion, or war, then he can declare emergency. Second thing, if he received the report that in the state the situation has been arisen in which the government of state cannot be carried as per the constitutional provisions, and if there is issue related to financial stability of India, then in this scenario the president has the power to proclaim an emergency, and a proclamation of emergency can be revoked by a subsequent proclamation. This thing you need to remember, and this must be laid before each house of parliament within 1 month, and if in 1 month parliament does not approve it, then it will cease to exist. Second thing, that during the period of emergency there are certain rights that.
Sir, your voice is breaking.
Now it is okay? It's okay or not?
No, sir.
Just give me a moment. Now, can you please confirm if it is okay? Anyone, if you can confirm? Am I audible or not?
Yes, sir. Now it's
Yes, sir, audible.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So I was telling you that who is trying to, okay, that during the emergency period, the right to move to the court for enforcement of fundamental right, it can be suspended. What are the rights that cannot be suspended during the emergency?
the 20 and 21. Article 20 and Article 21.
What about 22? Can 2020, this one also can be suspended?
Sir, it may be.
Don't bring the uncertainty. Whether it
Sir,
can.
I mean, not automatically,
Hmm.
but if president prescribes for it or rights.
Basically, 20 and 21 cannot be suspended, and others can be suspended if president is satisfied. All right. So remember this thing, and one more thing, that he can give direction to any state as to the manner in which the state should exercise its executive power. Remember this thing. Then, if the constitutional machinery breakdown, so we are talking in the context of 356, then in this case, the president may assume any of power vested in the governor. Second thing, the power of state legislature shall be exercised by or under the authority of president, and such a proclamation cease to operate at the expiry of 2 months. So the state emergency has to be approved within 2 months, otherwise it will be expired. And if we talk about financial emergency, then in this case the president may direct the reduction of salaries of any class of state official. Now, I have a question for you. Can president direct the reduction of salaries of the judges of Supreme Court and High Court also? Can he do so during the financial emergency? Yes, he can do this. And he may also require all state money bills to be reserved for consideration of the president. All right. So these were the emergency power that we have discussed. He has a diplomatic power also. In diplomatic power, what he has, that all the ambassador, high commissioner, all the diplomats basically are received in his name only, and all the treaties or peace agreement, everything is signed in his name only. Emergency power, already told you. Then financial power we discussed yesterday. So we are yeah, one more thing, military power. So in military power, he's the military power, I think we discussed. Did we discuss or not? Anyone, if you can confirm that whether we discussed military power or not?
We have not.
We have not.
No, sir.
Okay, so the president is the supreme commander of the defense forces of the country. And again, he has the power to declare the war and peace. But these powers of the president are regular. These powers are regulated by law, and parliament is empowered to regulate or control the exercise of military power of the president. So remember this thing, that if the question is coming and then it is saying that military power of the president is subject to the law made by the parliament, then this statement would be correct. Military power of the president is therefore subordinate to his executive power, that is exercisable by him on the advice of the cabinet. So that's all in the power of the president. Now tomorrow what we'll discuss tomorrow council of minister, and very important thing, the change in the position of the president. So these were the lot much factual things that you should know, but tomorrow things would be little bit conceptual. We'll talk about maybe 2 3 cases also, where we'll discuss the position of the president before 42nd constitutional amendment, sorry 42nd constitutional amendment act, and after post 42nd constitutional amendment act, and the relationship between president and the council of ministers. So these things we'll discuss tomorrow, and council of, obviously we'll discuss council of minister also tomorrow. So hopefully that